Now, an issue affecting thousands of women but rarely talked about openly, access to vaginal estrogen treatments. At the local authority's December meeting, the Ennis and Fine Gael councillor Mary Howard brought a motion calling on the Minister for Health to allow vaginal estrogen gels and creams to be available over the counter as they are in other countries. We have received, or she rather received, a reply from the Department of Health saying these products remain prescription only unless manufacturers apply to have them reclassified by the HPRA, something that unfortunately hasn't happened to date. So to discuss why this matters, the impact on women's health and what needs to change, I'm joined by the aforementioned Mary Howard and the Ennis GP and female health specialist Dr Máire Finn. Ladies, very good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Well timed. It's like you worked on that beforehand out in the corridor. Thanks very much to both of you for coming in. Mary, what prompted you, because this is an issue that's long running, what prompted you in recent times to bring this motion to the council, and you know, were people coming to you, were girls, women coming to you? I'm sure it's a widespread issue.
It's a widespread issue, but as you said, it's something that we don't talk about openly. And we had, and Maura was speaking at it, we had an excellent seminar on the menopause organised by Samantha McCarthy in Clare County Council there last autumn. And at that seminar, Maura brought to my attention about this. Dr Finn brought to my attention that in other countries you can walk into your local pharmacy and get your oestrogen cream or gel without any drama, whereas here you have to go through the process of getting a prescription from your doctor, and I believe the pharmacists are now getting a little bit more autonomy. They can give you different drugs and treatments without a prescription, and I really truly believe that this should be one of them.
Okay, I'm surprised. It's surprising in a way, Mary, given that in Ireland, anytime we're talking about new initiatives or ideas, the common line you hear is, well, this idea has already been used in insert country's name here. Why don't we just replicate it? Yet so many others are doing it, and there's no. That
it was just when I got the reply there last week when I read it, it was kind of passing the buck onto somebody else and somebody else. Whereas this is a simple and practical way of treating estrogen deficiency in women. Listen, 50% of the population are women, and all women are going to go through the menopause in some shape or form, and we are going to find that our estrogen levels are depleting, and this is a simple way to ensure that you don't get urinary tract infections and dryness and tearing of skin. Now Dr Finn will go into more detail about that, but to me it's just a very simple and practical way of dealing with the issue, is that you should be able to walk in. You can in Spain, you can in the UK, you can in the US, you can in Australia, walk into your local pharmacy and pick up the cream the same as you would pick up Sudocrem here for all the world.
Dr. Finn, I'm going to call you Maura. I'm sorry, I just can't be called. I knew you called Dr. Quinn last time. Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
I'm not used to this at all, Mary, as you know.
Maura, for our listeners, and I'm thinking maybe the other 50% who don't have to deal with this or consider, can you just explain a bit more what vaginal estrogen gels and creams are typically prescribed for, and how common are the symptoms they treat, particularly amongst peri and postmenopausal women?
So once a woman is, like as Mary said, and actually Mary has learned a lot about this over the years. She's great. You don't really need me here at all. But once a woman hits menopause, perimenopause, the estrogen levels drop, and that affects every single cell in our bodies. Some parts of our bodies actually recover, and then we kind of adapt, and we kind of develop new pathways and different ways of actually kind of improving our health without the added benefit of estrogen. But our bones never recover from that. So we actually always need to kind of protect our bones, and our vaginal and vulval tissues never recover. So the lack of estrogen causes a progressive drying of the tissue and a thinning of the tissue. And it's of the whole, what's called a urogenital area. So it's your urinary system and the vulval area and the vagina and then the endometrium, all that area inside in your pelvis. And when you replace some of that estrogen that is naturally dropping, and it happens for every single woman as they approach the age of 45 onwards, as we replenish that, you actually improve the blood flow. You improve the musculature of the tissues there, so your pelvic floor is stronger, so you actually have more control over your urinary symptoms. You improve the vaginal tissue, so it because one of the major symptoms that people will have is that sex is incredibly painful because it's dry, and then friction causes cuts and it can cause infections as well. And then the other thing that happens as women get older, and I see this so much in women in their 70s and 80s and even younger sometimes, they get recurring UTIs, which are urinary tract infections. And the primary reason for it is this vaginal vulval atrophy or dryness or thin tissue. And as a result, so many of them end up in hospital recurringly with UTIs, needing antibiotics. That's the best case scenario. Frequently, they end up in hospital with a sepsis and are extremely ill. And as a cause of extreme morbidity and mortality for women, it's a huge expense to the health service and HSC. It's a reason why so many people are in A&E and into the medical assessment unit and all these. So it's not just the women individual problem. It's actually a healthcare problem as well.
Okay, so I mean, the delayed or difficult access to these treatments is going to have a significant effect on a woman's quality of life. And in your experience, do women often struggle to get prescriptions for them? And how would you view the argument that they can be safely used without direct GP supervision?
Okay, well, there's two questions there. And the first is, yes, it's something that we're trying to get into the psyche of every doctor, that every woman needs this. Okay, now this is one of my mantras, and I sometimes forget to give it to people, so it's kind of, you're doing so much, you might forget when there's somebody and she's in her 70s and you go, have I ever talked to you about vaginal estrogen? And she might go, oh, you did once, or So it's something that I need to remind myself to do, and I'm all about this. So you can imagine the rest of the GPs in the medical service, there's a lot who don't think of it at all, and in an A&E scenario, it's the last thing they're going to think of. So there's an issue about access because it's our fault that we don't give it. That's number one. Number two, there's an issue because it is technically HRT, and there's a lot of people afraid of the idea of HRT, but it is almost always safe. There's a very, very tiny limited number of people that it would not be safe for. And that would be somebody who has undiagnosed vaginal bleeding or has a lesion there that, we don't know what it is. But that's the same for other things that are given out without prescription, because pharmacies and pharmacists are incredibly well-resourced people and well-qualified, and they know what they're doing. And there's medication like, for instance, the obvious comparison is the Viagras of this world, which are drugs that have an effect on your heart. If you have issues around angina, you shouldn't be taking them, but they're available over the counter without even the need to talk to a pharmacist. So they are potentially dangerous drugs, but they can be available over the counter. Okay. Nexium is a drug that you take for dyspepsia, kind of indigestion. It can have cause problems if you have problems with your kidney function or you have an ulcer, but it's available over the counter. Every drug is potentially dangerous, So this is very, very, very safe. There's always a risk with nothing is 100% safe, but if they have, as they do in the UK, a rule where the pharmacist just has a kind of a conversation with the person coming in and say, listen, do you understand? Is there anything else that needs to be worried about here? Do you need to go to your doctor? But, yes, you can have this. And it's available with the supervision of the pharmacist. And I believe the pharmacists need to be and want to be used more in this sort of context. Okay.
So, I mean, Mary, just to finish with you, it looks like another example of women's health concerns being slow to translate into policy change, and certainly that reply that you got from the Department of Health saying there'd be no applications made to reclassify these products, I guess it is disappointing. Where do things go from here? Who needs to be driving the process of change so that it does become available over the counters? The government, the regulator, the pharmaceutical companies? How can this be pushed forward and progressed?
We all have a role to play in this, and I've brought this to the attention of other female councillors throughout the country and just say, listen, this is a real issue and it's easily resolved. So we'll get the political push on that. But I suppose Maura and her colleagues also, it's just to get the conversation started. Once you get the conversation started, you can get results. We've started that conversation now, and I would like to be able to come back in here in a few months' time, and for us to be able to say you can now walk into your local pharmacy and get your oestrogen gel or cream over the counter. Ideally, that's what I would love to hear. It's very frustrating because you kind of, the way I look at it is kind of go, here we go, women's health again, pushed to the side. As we just said, you can walk in and
only
get your Viagra
50%
over
of
the
the
counter.
population.
Only 50%, like, I'd love us. But it is, you know, it's something, you know me, I'm a bit of a terrier. I don't let go until we get some kind of result, and I'll be pushing that we will be able to turn around in a few months' time, please God, and say, yeah, you can go into your local pharmacy and get your...
A lot of people out there worried when they're hearing your reputation as a terrier.
I'm a right terrier, I don't let go.
Right. We have to leave it there for the moment. Looking forward to a positive update from you, Mary. Thank you, Mary Howard, and Dr Máire Finn. Thank you as well for being with us on this morning's show.